What's good, YouTube? It's Adam from I'm a Music Mogul, and welcome to another video. In this one, I will show you how the Black Eyed Peas J Balvin RITMO was made. We're not gonna build it together. There was a lot to it, surprisingly, and so in this video, we're just gonna go ahead and break that down track by track and the sounds that I used. This track was produced by will.i.am and Keith Harris. So with that said, let's get straight to it. So for this one, I'm going to play the track without the vocals, but it will be included in the Logic session down below. So, or I'm also actually going to do a quick breakdown on my Instagram page if you want to hear it with the vocals, Instagram at I'm a Music Mogul. But with that said, let's just get right to it. So the first sound in this remake is that lead pluck sound, and it sounds like this. And there's the pattern right over there. Very simple pattern. The plugin that I used was Logic's ES2 synthesizer, and not much to it. Really, all I used was one oscillator here, a sine wave, pushed this knob all the way to the FM side, and just adjusted my attack to be a little bit snappier and the release a little bit shorter, and that was pretty much it. Default settings in here. Also pulled up the sine level as well. It's essentially just a sine wave, and it gives you that sound. As far as the EQ work goes, I just took out some of the low end here so it doesn't mess around with our bass, and added in some reverb. The next sound in this intro is, of course, the vocals. But that's something I did not produce, just sampled that. Right over here is the next sound is the snare sound. Then you got a kick. There's the pattern, just a 4-to-floor pattern. And for the last sound here, what we got going on is a bass sound. It just goes like this. And it's just hitting on the C. And the sound that we use is also found in Logic's ES2 synthesizer, and I used a square wave with a little bit of drive and a little bit of distortion. That looks like all I adjusted. Not much else to that either. And just a little bit of EQ work as well. And if you put all those together, it just gives you that bass in the intro. Next, let's move over to our next section right over here. Another sound comes into play. There's a lot of like drum patterns in here, and that's why I said this track was a little bit more confusing than I originally thought. There's a lot of like drum elements in it that switches up, and I figured, you know what, for me to just break it down for you or build it together with you would just be a little bit boring. So the new sound that comes into this section right over here is a pad. Here are the chords. The sound I used for this one was Alchemy. I used a preset found under the strings category called Epic Cloud Formation, and I just pushed it over to the soft a little bit. And I added in an EQ just to take out some of the top end. Otherwise it's a little bit too bright. And I added in some tremolo because in the original track it sounded like there's a lot of movement, and just tremolo gives us that movement. It's slight. I lowered the depth. Hear how it sounds at 100%. Gives it a slight movement to the sound. And that's all it is for that right there. And then we get another bass sound. And that just layers up the pad. And just really fills it out. Without it, you kind of miss it. Now for this sound, I used my Drake Moog bass preset. It's like a Moog bass type of sound, just using a sawtooth. And the EQ, I also cut out a lot of that top end here. We don't need that top end. We just want that low end rumble. And then with this pad sound, we get the kick. Let's bring in our kick. Same kick, just hitting on the ones. Then we get a snare. Then we get a shaker. And we get another shaker right over here. And that just builds up. And then I think it changes up on this section right over here where the bass changes up and we get this bass right here. And this bass pattern looks like this. For that sound, I use the same sound that I used in the beginning of the track. This is just more of a pluck, and it's played at a higher octave rather than just the same notes. Same EQ work because it's the same track. And I believe the kick just went to the 4/4 back to that pattern. All right, so that builds up. Then we get this little transition effect sound right here, which I sampled from the track itself. Let's just bring that in here. RITMO. And then it switches up once again. So our bass pattern starts off like this. So our bell pluck, it gets pitched up 1 octave. And on this one, I added a little bit of chorus because it sounded a little bit darker sounding in the original track, so I just added that in. And I think I EQ'd a little bit more of the top end out. Same bass layered under it. And then the drums switch up again. We get this snare pattern right here, a different snare sound. We get the kick. We get a clap. We get a hi-hat. Another hat. We get a perk sound. And we get another clap. Just kind of giving you that ride in the background. And we get this crash at the top end here. Actually, I'm not sure if this plays out here. I'm going to pull this back. And we get this tom break right here, which it just transitions between this section to the next one. Then our pattern goes back down to that original pluck pattern that we had at the beginning. And our bass changes up once again, and it sounds like this now. Get our kick, and we get our perk sound, which is kind of like a snare. And then that goes on for another, what is this, 8 bars? 4 bars. And then it switches back out to this pattern right over here. And it kind of just repeats itself. That's pretty much the foundation to the track, all the different sections. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now that you heard all the pieces come together, let's go ahead and play this arrangement all together. Let's go.
RITMO.
So there is the remake right there, kind of just repeats itself. For you Logic users out there, I will place the session down in the description box below this video. You will get the vocal chop, Corona, Rhythm of the Night vocal sample as well within it. Just didn't want to play it out here, but so it sounds a little bit naked without it, but that playback session will be down below. For you non-Logic users out there, got your back as well. I'm going to go and export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this one here. There's actually a bunch of sounds in here. I think there's like 12 sounds. Yeah, 12 sounds in the drum kit. So it's a nice, fairly sized drum kit in this type of style of music. So that playback will be down below as well. If you do want to hear the remake with the vocal chops, head on over to my Instagram page and it will be there. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down below. If you do have any questions, we can go ahead and take the conversation down below. But that's it for me, guys. If you did like this video, remember thumbs up and share it. And of course, hit that subscribe button for more good videos like this one. I'll talk to y'all soon. Later. Peace.